So for the Boston Celtics, I'll run through the names I have here. I feel like they need a whole bunch of stuff, but I would prefer to see them get someone else who can handle the ball and create. They could kind of use some extra wing depth too, even though you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And Brown's been through the ringer this year, obviously. So lockdown shooter wing, or just like someone who can put pressure on the basket. So it feels like everything is offensive.
So everything.
Yeah, on offense. Anyway, the names I have are Doug McDermott, Kyle Anderson, Danilo Gallinari, or Caris LeVert. And I like Gallo in Boston because of the way, if you're going to have Horford or Robert Williams III up front, Gallo's starting to pick up, and you technically only have him for one season. He's partial guaranteed for next year, and he can really do things for you in the playoffs, get to the line still. So I don't know you go into the trade deadline saying, hey, he's my top target, because you are going to end up giving up a fairly expensive player for Gallo just because he's making so much money. And that would be something to consider here. But I think he'd be interesting. So I had him, Doug McDermott, Kyle Anderson, and Caris LeVert. I hit all ends of the spectrum here.
I'm pretty game for any of those except McDermott, just because I think the one thing that you're looking for if you're Boston is the ability to take a little bit of offensive pressure off of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in a way that diversifies the entire offense. And that's not going to happen with Doug McDermott, who's just such a complimentary catch and shoot piece. I don't think you want significant portions of the half court set running through him at any time.
And I would just push back. I think he's established himself, and I know people didn't really like his contract with the Spurs. I think that probably had more to do with the Spurs than McDermott, just based off San Antonio's timeline. But he's someone who can really score on cuts. He's not shooting well on drives this year, but again, there's not a ton of open space in San Antonio. He did better on that in Indiana last year. And so I think he would work well in Boston. And what the opportunity cost I'm thinking of here is, for a contract like that, is if the Spurs are becoming sellers, you're looking at, you have the Juan Hernan-Gomez salary, and then it's, and Romeo Langford might be too much, but is Aaron Nesmith too much? Is Peyton Pritchard too much? And then a pick. So I think that there are ways to get there without trading anyone that's really consequential to you. And that's what would be huge for him. And I think the package would have to be, you're selling a young player and a pick. I think that probably works for Caris LeVert. I don't know, the Gallo stuff would be interesting because you do have expensive salaries to get there, but the Josh Richardson and Juan Hernan-Gomez for Danilo Gallinari, that's a framework that could technically work. I don't know how interested Atlanta would be in that. And then Kyle Anderson's sort of just like, Memphis is
my favorite of the bunch. I think
he might be the worst fit of the bunch. I don't think he's a terrible fit. He's hitting a higher clip of his threes than Caris LeVert is this year, and he can handle the ball, and he's going to be a better defender than anyone I included on this list. I'm curious. He's entering free agency. Memphis isn't playing him as much this season. Would they be willing to give him up? And what does it cost? Like, can you attach? They're trying to win now. So is Juan Hernan-Gomez plus picks or one of those young? Does that get the job done for him? I don't know, but
probably not.
I think his salary is kind of feasible to match. I think so. To me, just based off Memphis's timeline and how much they've used him, given the uptick, you have Dylan Brooks, you have Desmond Bane. Maybe they make another trade too. I would think you can sweeten it enough with picks and young players to get Anderson out of Memphis, just knowing he's a soon-to-be free agent.
I have a Doug McDermott trivia question for you now. So I was looking it up while I was curious just about how reliant he is on setup passes. Dating back to the beginning of the 2017-18 season. So this encompasses his brief times with the Knicks and the Mavericks, as well as his 3 years with the Pacers and the current season with San Antonio. Doug McDermott has made 450 three-pointers. How many of those were unassisted?
You want a percentage or a total?
Total.
What's that number again?
Out of 450.
I'm going to say 20.
0.
Wow. I mean, he's not that type of player. So
he has not made an unassisted three in the last 4 and counting seasons.
I don't know that. That's fine with me, by the way. I think they don't
I don't think it's what they need.
You don't think they need somebody who sub 35%?
They need shooting without a doubt. I just think it's more important that you diversify the offense by forcing the ball out of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's hands every once in a while. I think you need that guy who can actually create.
And I would say you have Al Horford, Marcus Smart, and Dennis Schroeder as your alternatives. I don't think any of them are the ideal.
Yeah, none of those. Yeah,
but you have
secondary ability in conjunction with shooting. And
I would
I
say
think that's why I like Kyle Anderson more than the others, because even if he position wise probably isn't the best fit for this team, his skill set, just the ability to put the ball on the floor and create for himself in slow motion a little bit while also serving as a respectable outside shooter, is what I would pick for this team.
the issue there is if you want to argue that point of attack offense is their biggest need, you can't go after Kyle Anderson. And like this needs to be a De'Aaron Fox or Damian Lillard situation. And so that's why I think I think Caris LeVert probably comes or actually Gallo probably comes the closest to straddling both lines. So he might be my favorite. I think it's just harder to get him.
Probably the highest cost. Yeah.
I like McDermott more than LeVert because as the biggest Caris LeVert fan, and I know he's coming back from the kidney cancer I think he had. Like he deserves all the time in the world to try and work his way back. In theory, he's probably the best fit, but he's always had his struggles with off the ball shooting and is not hitting jumpers that well this season. Does put pressure on the basket. Gallo's probably my favorite functional fit. I just think I like McDermott because you actually have what he does available in shorter supply on your roster than what Kyle Anderson does on offense to me.
Yeah, fair enough.